Yeah, we're live. What's happened? Okay, so now we need to talk to each other to check. Hi, Luke.
Hi, Justin.
See, your voice sounds really... What microphone is that? You on an SM... No, what is that?
It's not a SM58.
Is it an SE or something?
It's from Shure. It's a Shure microphone.
The singer's choice.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
It's actually my dad's.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I've read something about your father, but I don't know if it's true, or if I should even talk about your father.
Feel free.
Is your father a man of the cloth?
The man of the cloth. Yeah, in a lot of ways. So I was brought up in a Christian kind of like household.
Okay, so did he work in the church then? Was he like
Yeah, like he didn't sort of work there. He basically like led the praise and worship. So he played guitar, still does now, and what his thing was, his kind of like his angle in that world was to preach, but he would do it literally through music. So his whole sermon was like, it was narrative. So he would sort of speak a little bit and then sort of like 1-2 punch his kind of points that he wanted to put across.
But he was a preacher, though.
Yeah.
In essence.
Yeah.
And then he'd use the medium of music to... Because when you first started describing his role, I thought he was like one of those guys that stands at the back of the church, and then at like a funeral when it's just people don't feel compelled to, sing joyously, he would be the guy that sang the loudest to get them all going and make them, oh yeah, perhaps I should sing after all, and get people to open up and,
No, I mean, it kind of went beyond church as well. He recorded, I think it was about 5 or 6 kind of like, records, albums, and everything under his own label, Spiller Sound.
Spiller Sound.
I actually like that.
Wow, that is good.
I might have to take the reins on that.
What was the logo? Did it have any like Christian iconography in the logo, like a halo or anything like that?
It didn't. Wow. There was a lack of it. I can't even remember it.
Was there a teapot or anything to do with spilling, or was it nothing?
No.
So the logo type was just the words Spiller Sound.
Spiller Sound.
It's pretty good. It's still good.
Very, very 80s looking. I remember that. It was, slightly slanted,
So yeah, italics. Anyway, everybody's in now, Luke, and everything's working.
Wow.
And everyone's saying hi. Hey guys.
Hi everyone.
We were just talking about Luke's dad. Straight in with the dad questions.
I love your mug. Did you get that like as a loyalty gift?
No, this is I saved up for this. I've had it since I was a small boy.
Oh really?
I was always such a fan.
It's nice.
Yeah. So what should we talk about this evening, Luke? Did you say you had some questions for me?
I mean, it's great to be here. I mean, it's very surreal, I have to say. I mean, going from like a 15-year-old boy with like a poster of you on my bedroom wall.
How long ago was that? How old are you?
32. So
wow.
You'd remember the poster. It was a really good one. It was a black and white poster, and you were all in the you were wearing white outfits, and you were sort of stood there, like with your thumb up. Right. And it was
that describes a lot of posters. I can't remember the black and white one though.
But it was the outfits.
What was I wearing?
It was the outfits that you were wearing for the Nebworth shows.
Oh, so it was the tassels on the front.
Yeah. Was it silver or was it white?
I think it was white, but it had like had little diamonds of gold that caught the light, like silver, but it wasn't silver. I can't remember who made that actually. Some bloke called Alex. It was the only thing he made for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because tassels, I just can't do them.
I can't do them anymore either. I had
I've
like
seen loads of
something.
pictures of you live with tassels. I thought that was your thing.
Well, it depends what kind of tassel, you see. I've had like a really fine tassel, which is just sort of like made out of kind of like a lacy fabric. And of course, like I wore it once. We were doing these great shows and I loved the outfit. And as soon as I had grabbed the microphone, it would wrap itself around and I'd just be like, fuck. And I'd have to sort of like make it into a bit of a dance of me, you know, trying to untangle myself.
Let me show you something. Hang on.
Okay.
So I've had this catsuit since the Mercury Music Prize, which was the year of that poster, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So I always used to have a problem with tassels if I was playing guitar. I can more or less get away with it when I'm just holding a mic. More or less. But this has got... Hang on. I noticed on the sleeve... See that red strip?
Yeah.
That's the female Velcro. So I think I had tassels on a Velcro thing, and if it got caught on something, just tear it off. Or if a guitar has to come along, take it off. Removable tassels. That's the future.
I love how you don't even remember.
Of course I don't remember.
I think I had tassels attached to this at some point.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my stuff had detachable bits on it. Mm-hmm. You know, capes and hoods and whatnot. And it just gets detached and forgotten.
I mean, back in the early days, did you sort of have to sort of go and find the things that you would wear, like, you know, when the band was really first starting to sort of create heat, so to speak, before you got things custom made? I mean, like, when did you start to get things actually specifically made?
Well, we had a friend who was Kylie Minogue's stylist, who came from Lowestoft, the same town that we grew up in. So we just went to her and said, "Can you help us?" And I literally said to her, "I want to wear a lace cat suit." And and she said, "Would you really let me do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, let's do it." But we couldn't afford her, so she put us in touch with some other people and got people to make stuff for us on the cheap. And then when we could afford her, the lace catsuit became reality.
Wow.
But you've worked with some top end design folk in the clothing world, haven't you? I remember we were both using Ray Brown at the same time.
Yes.
At one point. How long ago was that? Like 5 years ago or something?
Yeah, I still use Ray.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you not find that Ray's lovely and he does brilliant work? I think his stuff is just fab, you know, and it's really durable, isn't it?
That's it. It was durable. I mean, at the time when we first started working with him, we were playing something between like 150 to like 200 shows a year for about 2 years, and it was like a lot. And I always wanted the really tight leather, kind of like shiny looking outfits,
like patent leather,
like I guess almost like a vinyl, like a shiny kind of vinyl looking thing. And that was my thing for a few years. But
what was the shape though? Were you like the sort of rebellious Marlon Brando biker stuff, or was it, because you've always had a bit of a cowboy thing, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess I never thought it was a cowboy.
Yeah. I see cowboy stuff on you quite a lot, or maybe it's not supposed to be, but
chaps and all this.
Yeah, well, yeah, just rodeo.
It is
rodeo chic.
I know what you mean, because it has. I always used to love like tassels on the shoulder, tassels, sort of like at the very bottom of the legs, to sort of like cover the boot and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it always had like a slight flare. So
what you described there is cowboy outfit.
Exactly. There we go. I literally, funny thing, I actually played a rodeo like about 2 or 3 years ago, and you have those moments in your career, and you're just kind of thinking like how, where, and why. And we were in the middle of fuck nowhere in America, and they were like, "Okay, we want to bring you out it was like a halftime kind of show, and we were in the back of a pickup truck, and the stage was
Halftime of what? Like a halftime of the rodeo?
Yeah,
like so. It was after like the bucking. What? I don't even know what happens at a rodeo. I'll be honest. What is it?
I didn't really watch
some
it.
cowboys trying their hardest not to kiss each other whilst lassoing sort of wild stallions and stuff. Is it?
Pretty much with that with the kind of like rodeo clowns and sort of
the clowns.
It's being very mean to the bulls, basically.
So it's almost like bull fighting, but just teasing, bull teasing.
Yeah, bull teasing. Slightly homoerotic. But
homoerotic bull teasing.
and so yeah, we get ushered on in the back of sort of like a typical American pickup, sort of like I can't remember, like a Toyota Raptor or something, and we're literally like waving to the audience, and everyone's sort of looking at us like, who the fuck are these guys? And then we go onto this stage, and it's in the round, and it's literally like the magic roundabout. It's spinning like at this speed the whole entire time. And halfway through the set, I was like, this literally is my first rodeo. And like, no one got it.
Yes. That's a good line. I heard you do another good line, actually. There was it must have been at the beginning of lockdown. Because you did that song, what's that is it Dirty Sexy
Money?
Yeah. And that song's got like really good 80s groove, hasn't it? And this kind of, it's hard not to dance to it. And so in between like some of the singing, you said something like, I promised myself I wasn't going to take this seriously, but look at me, I'm sweating my tits off, and then into a chorus. It was brilliant.
I can't remember. Like,
so you don't remember stuff as well. That shows you doing it properly, actually.
Exactly. But when it comes to like ad-lib tracks, it's always the last kind of 2 or 3 takes that I'll do, like vocally. I'll get everything that's necessary, and then the producer will just, I'll be like, just give me 2 or 3 takes, and then it always seems to be the cherry on the top.
What do they call that track? We call it the vibe track.
Oh, I would call it ad-lib.
Oh, ad-lib.
Ad-lib.
Okay, what does that stand? What's that short for? It's got to be Rome. Was it Latin? So in ancient Rome, when people were making stuff up,
ad-libbing.
Ad-libbing.
That would make sense.
Adilibo, I think.
Maybe.
Anyone got any questions for Luke?
Yes, far away.
I've got some for you. I've actually prepared some. Oh. Sherry asks, do you want to be a prima donna with her tonight?
Yes, I'd love to be.
Correct answer. Okay, here's a question for you. How many songs have you written in the bathroom?
In the bathroom?
Yeah.
Quite a few, actually, and specifically on the toilet.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Do you sometimes sit down even if you don't need to go, just because you've got a song idea?
No, I if it ain't broken, I don't try and fix it. Like, I don't want to ruin whatever it is that just happens. Maybe it's the kind of natural bodily function that
Can
happens.
I tell you something that's incredibly personal? 2 nights ago, I had a dream, or 3 nights ago, and I can't remember the first part of it. Miss Moneypenny will remind me. What was I on about with my dream? Something happened at the beginning of it, but basically, I shit myself, and there was loads of shit everywhere. I was trying. Oh no! I think I was in somebody else's house, but I didn't make it to the toilet, and I was shit everywhere, and I was trying to clean it up, and I had my hands full of shit. Right, so I was like, oh, there's still more shit to clean up. So I put some of the shit in my mouth just to hold it, and I got some other shit. And I was just carrying loads of shit around. And then the dream was analysed by Miss Moneypenny and Google. Untitled.com. Apparently, it can be a portent for good luck. So, in the dream realm, it means good financial luck, and also it means that you're expelling negativity from yourself. So maybe that's. Some rocket scientists discovered this. So maybe the act of sitting upon a toilet helps you to channel some positivity and make uplifting music as opposed to dirgy, constipated stuff that all the other bands do.
Forced. I mean, here's a question.
Todd's just said to me, just in time for therapy. This is therapy, Todd. Haven't you realised? Sorry.
It's going to get heavy. So, like, when myself and the rest of the band started, seriously touring throughout the States, it's like a completely different animal. And do
you mean the States is a different animal to UK?
In terms of touring?
Yeah.
In just what's physically you need to be like, and how long you stay away from home, just everything, just the lengths of the tour. It's just insane. And I noticed everyone around me at some point had shat themselves, either like on the bus or in the venue.
Well, they actually shit themselves, but there's toilets in venues.
Yeah, but just sort of like whether they
didn't make it to the.
Just not making it, purely just not making it, right?
That's the worst.
And I was like, this is like, I was like 3 or 4 years into it, and I was like, this hasn't happened to me yet. Like, I don't know what's wrong. And then on one fateful day, right?
Yeah.
So we were out with the Foo Fighters, and I changed my diet to a vegan diet, right? And we had catering there. Mm-hmm. So it was really, and like you're a vegan, correct?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you had this, but for the first week or so, like I had extremely bad gas. My stomach was like adjusting.
Mine's been like that for the last 7 years. So apparently it passes.
So we do the show, and like we're obviously support. So it's a great gig. You do your 45-minute set, mm-hmm. and then by 9 o'clock you're kind of done. And you can do what you want, or obviously like watch the Foos. And they always used to keep catering open for us, or keep some food aside for me.
That's nice of them, actually. Not everyone does that.
No, and so yeah, I like ate a bunch of this great food, and then we traveled the next day, and my stomach was just still so bad. It was just like, it was just bubbling away all night, like in my bunk at the time, and I fell asleep.
Oh, no.
And I had a couple of similar dreams like you just described, sort of like waking up thinking like I needed it, right?
Right.
Anyway, so the bus kind of like
but in your dream you made it. You just needed to go, and
I just needed to go.
Right.
I didn't have any vivid memory of like going to or from, or actually doing it. So I wake up the next morning, I notice the bus has stopped, so I'm like, okay. And then I'm gassy again, and I just like, kind of naturally, as you do in the morning, just let out a bit of wind, and I was just like suddenly bolt upright, like, oh fuck, oh shit.
Oh, so this is slightly different then. So as opposed to making a run for it and not getting there in time, what you've done there is you've sharted.
It gets better. Right, so that happens, and I'm like, oh my god, like something's coming, and I can't hold any of this.
So this was the warning shot.
This is the warning shot. This is you got amber, red, and then brown zone. I was
brown alert.
I was in the brown zone, and I run to the back lounge to get like some, joggers on or something to run into the venue. And I stood up into the back lounge, and as I'm putting on my tracksuit bottoms, I just feel it just coming, and I just can't stop it. I just can't stop it, and I'm just there like I'm feeling like a 10-year-old boy, like in a playground, like so helpless, and embarrassed, and then I just sort of nonchalant walked through. Nobody was up at this point. It was probably about 8 a.m. It was 8 a.m. The bus driver was awake, and he was like, "You right, Luke?" And I was like, "Hi, yeah, goodbye." Get off, run through into the venue. All the Foo Fighters crew are like loading in, and our dressing room is not open. Nothing's open. So I used the crew toilet, which was like, it's in an arena, so there's like...
Yeah, there should be more than one crew toilet. You should be all right with that.
But these ones are like 4 or 5 sort of like cubicles like in a row, right? And there's people like going like, next to me, and I get in there, and like by this point, like I sat down and there wasn't even much point. Like most of it had like left my system.
The horse had bolted at that point.
Yeah, the horse had bolted, and I was left with all of the debris from the hooves, and I ended up having to call my tour manager, like, help me. It was terrible, but yeah, there we go.
Do you have the same tour manager every time you go out? Because you've toured so much, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because I wondered, like with us, we toured a lot, and then you establish your family, and you end up with the same people, because you can call them at times like that, and then nobody needs to know until tonight what really happened.
Yeah. We do. We were really lucky to sort of. Obviously, it took a while to find like a really sort of close knit group of people that we loved and trust. But my tour manager now, he's fantastic. Very.
Do I know him? Have I ever met him before?
No. He's
Is he young?
He only organises our stuff and another band called Mr. Wives, and that's pretty much it, really. Very smart man, and he's like a year older than me, so it's quite funny.
Right.
It's quite a young crew, actually.
How many tour managers do you reckon you've had over the years?
2.
That's not bad. What happened to the first one?
Yeah.
If it's a sore point, just do that face and I'll move on.
Yeah, look, he was great, but it kind of it ran.
I love this
course.
party line. He was great, but we got a lot of time for him, but
yeah. Well, what about you?
I have to count them. At first, we had like Pedro, who produced the first record. He was tour managing us. Then we had a moment where we were getting big and stuff was getting unmanageable for him, because he had to do the front of house and loading in and dealing with all the egos and all the stuff that you've got to deal with, and the promo schedule was too much for him. So then this guy turned up who was like 100 Reasons is tour manager. Do you remember that band?
Yeah, my God, yeah.
His name was Tosh.
Good tour manager name.
Yeah,
Tosh.
That's what we thought. A reassuring sort of cricket bat style tour manager name, And but he made us sack all of our friends, who admittedly were either hippies or alcoholics or both, and then get his crew in, his crew, and it all became really awkward for a while, because we had to we knew that decision had been made and we were going to do that, and we had to we had to sack our friends,
Yeah,
it was really sad.
Did you feel like it got a little bit corporate at that time?
Yeah, totally did. Yeah, and also it was the wrong decision. Just you've got to stick by your friends. It was a mistake. First of only 2 or 3 mistakes that we made along the way. But that was a bad one, and ultimately it ended badly because he stole. I think he stole my guitar. I had a gold top, and I'm expected to believe that it was picked up and placed in like when you buy a Les Paul and it comes in like that leather Tolex case thing, and then you haven't put in a much heavier. I'd understand it if it was in like an actual flight case, but it was in the old Gibson case. Yeah. So I'm expected to believe that a professional, newly appointed crew member, which came along with the Tosh experience, with all that experience and all that, those touring miles under their belt, picked up an empty Gibson, shop case and didn't realise that there wasn't a huge piece of mahogany in it, and put an empty case on the tour bus, and that was like outside the only thing that makes it mildly believable that somebody else could have stolen it is that it was outside the Astoria in London. So that's a fairly dodgy little cul-de-sac.
Oh, were those the shows that you were those the the gigs before you got signed? Because I remember reading that it was those shows that really pricked all the ears at the labels up when you were doing that.
Yeah, that was that tour. To be honest, I think it was just growing anyway. But I mean, we're doing the same sort of shows at the moment, aren't we? In the States, do you think? Or are you doing big? You're doing bigger stuff than us now, aren't you?
It really depends. I know this is the thing. I mean, with everything going on.
Yeah. How does that? What do you think happens now? Because for us, all it is a pause because we're maintaining, our audience and our fan base. But you're growing, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been strange, but we've been also really lucky in the sense of we've throughout the years leading up to the beginning of like 2020, for example, we'd always been not prepared to ever take a year off. That was like out of the question. But financially, we'd always been like smart, and we'd always like put things away, and we kind of just worked our asses off.
Do you mean collectively or individually?
No, yeah, collectively. I mean, God, I'm probably when I think about it, probably the worst person to really talk about like the finances and stuff. But
yeah,
I attend the meetings.
I remember you showing me that bit. Was it a Mercedes or a BMW you were going to buy in States?
Oh,
what was that yellow thing?
I got it. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I got it.
That was a good choice. How old is that car?
It's 1972.
Yeah.
So
you're spending your money wisely, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you can't go wrong with cars.
That's true. That's what they say. That's true. I think that's or is it? Yeah, it's something like that. They say, yeah.
I mean, having said that, it's been a great sort of like chunk of time to inject money into my other automobiles. I've got like a 1982 Austin Mini Mayfair here in the UK, which was my first car I ever got, and it's beautiful. It's like a baby blue, and I'm getting
one of the original colours, or did you have that refinished?
No, it was the original color. It was the original color, and that was the first thing I saw. I got it from some sort of like little boy racer. He had like bucket seats in it, and he tried to make it look all sporty. He was super low to the ground. And he had like big wheel
rally stuff, all those plastic bits on the bottom.
Yeah, it was all a bit, it wasn't completely my style, but the bodywork on the outside, the paint job, the aesthetic was great. And I noticed he had a for sale sign for it. I was like, how much do you want? How much do you want? And then I saw him like a week later, and I got it for 1,200 quid cash, and it's been mine ever since. And I have taken that car everywhere. I used to drive from Torquay, where I was living at the time, back up to Bristol all the time to sort of hang out with my friends. I drove it to Brighton from Devon, which is an impressive long way to go from a 998cc engine.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's probably like 40 quid in petrol.
Literally, probably like 40, 50. I used to have this technique where I'd put my foot on the accelerator and my left foot just sort of like slightly underneath it, so I never used to sort of like.
That's a smart thing, but can't you feel it? You can feel it, can you? When you're introducing too much.
Yeah, are
you a good driver then? Are you actually like a petrol man?
No, not particularly, but it is something that I'm kind of drawn to.
What about motorbikes? I've seen you on motorbikes all the time.
Yeah, I like motorbikes.
Have you got a proper license for that?
Yes.
Yeah, so have I.
Yes, I acquired my license some time ago.
Oh, good for you.
But I've got a 2020 Softail Deluxe, which I was really lucky to have given to me by Harley.
That's a Harley Davidson, is it?
Yeah. And
yet more recently subverted macho iconography.
How do you mean?
Well, you don't.
Cowboy outfits.
Cowboy outfits plus Harley Davidson equals man's man.
Macho man.
Yeah, like 200% man, doesn't it?
Yeah, like Freddie Mercury in the 80s, man.
Yeah. I always think that about you, actually. When I look at you and I see you performing, I just see probably one of the straightest people I've ever met. But I bet you get people going, "Who's that puffer singing? Who's that guy?"
Oh, absolutely.
You get that a lot.
Every single date I've ever been on, without fail, is so how many guys have you slept with? And I'm like, well, I'm on a bus with about 9 of them every night. But it's purely platonic. But I mean, it's something that I definitely play with.
How do you do that then? Is it something in the wiggle or? I don't even think you're camp. I don't even see you as a camp individual.
No, that's the thing. I've never.
Apart from when you just went, that's the thing. Apart from that, just then, in that moment.
This cute little jumper I've got.
Yeah, but that's
It's how you wear it, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like
that ensemble you've got there reminds me of recent Gucci styling. Nothing camp about that.
No, well, not now anyway. With the likes of like Harry Styles, like anti-camping everything. But I've always loved clothes. I've always I didn't really even know it, but when I really think about it, I've been sort of like a pretty much a transvestite for the best part of like 13 or 14 years, because I barely buy any men's clothes. I don't like the way it fits. I'm 5'8", so everything I get has to be like small, XS, and then if I never go when I go out shopping now. Even if it was to like Zara or H&M or whatever, I don't even set foot into the men's section.
But do you think that people look at you and they go, "Oh, I think it's wonderful that we're accepting trans people now"?
No, I don't know.
Or do they recognise you as a rock star that's wearing women's clothing for a style choice? Actually, isn't it?
I think you get to a certain point, as I'm sure you're completely aware, where it just becomes second nature. You don't even think about it anymore. And
yeah, you don't think about what other people are thinking.
You don't. You absolutely don't. I mean, it's funny. Like when I first met the guitarist Adam from the Struts, I remember we used to go on like little shopping trips. This is like years ago, and I sort of took it upon myself to really try and guide him, especially with style in those early days. And I remember him sort of like being a little bit like, we're in the women's section, sort of like looking around. I didn't even think like anything of it. Yeah. And I think my mum, funny enough.
So what size are you in women's clothes? Because I always found that difficult. Like if I saw an 8 or a 10, I wouldn't really know what it meant. And
yeah, but you're quite tall, aren't you?
From what I remember. How tall are you?
Like 5'8".
That's so weird. You know what? When we met at the
Kerrang Awards.
Yeah. I remember thinking, oh, he's much taller than I thought he was going to be.
Really?
I did, yeah. Are you body long like me?
You
got long body.
Body long. That's a song title.
You got long body. I've been meaning to ask you this. I got this on my list of questions. Are you long body? I'll put you down as long body, shall I?
Because
maybe it's because we were sitting down, Or maybe your hair was high.
I think I have good legs. I have good proportioned sort of like legs.
Good legs. Right.
I've got good arms. Good arms
as well, yeah.
And I have, but I.
So I'll just put limbs. I'll just say good limbs.
Good limbs. I have good limbs.
Yeah.
And
extremities. Extremities. Dexterous.
I'm not quite sure. I'd consider myself quite an extremely sort of average body build, you know. But I've got a very long face, which enhances everything, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, what you've got, in fact, is the Hollywood proportions.
Oh, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so, because Hollywood proportions is this: good legs, good arms, normal body, and like an unusually large head. And I think because I think that's the way, you know, when you frame an individual for a movie and you want all the expression to come from here, don't you? Not in my case, it'd be like, oh, what's he doing with his body? You know, you'd be much better on camera, I think.
Oh, thank you very much.
No, that's my pleasure. James has asked this question. Holy shit, I've got Mr. Japan on the phone. You guys have just been selected to come up with the theme song for the Tokyo Olympics. What's it called?
Tokyo Olympics. Oh my God, it would have to be called. You'd have to have like some sort of play on words or of like a Japanese phrase, like
arigato.
Like arigato. I love daisuki.
What does that mean?
Which is I love you.
Oh. But then
and it would have to be one of those the melodies in that come from sort of like that country are like relentless as well. Like I went to this I mean, like you've been there, and when you go to like the underground, sometimes you'll see sort of like a very strange, random like underground like shopping center, you know. And there was these like 12.
And all the people that work in there are really pale because they never come to the surface.
No. And they were all like 50 years old, and they're all dancing, and the melodies were like. It was like non-stop. There was like no breath.
Is that the melody for the Olympics theme that we're writing?
It could be because that was, you know. I think it's because I'm sat down.
Sing it again.
I'm thinking about it too much now. Now I'm giving it too much melody.
No, but we've got to think about it. The whole world's going to be singing it. No, I've gone really Eastern on it.
Oh no, I mean yeah. So it's being held in Japan then, correct?
Is it? I think so. Yeah, it's the Tokyo Olympics. Should be
Tokyo Olympics. Yeah, there we go.
It should be Japan.
I hope it.
But you know, so you're right. Sometimes it's, you know, well, if it happens at all.
Well, maybe that would be the lyrical content. Like,
well, should it be happening at all?
Thank God we made it. Thank God we made it here.
If you're like, do they know it's Christmas? And should they be doing the Olympics? Should they be doing running?
Should they even be doing it?
Should they? Yeah. Daisuki. Gold medal. Should they even be doing it? Podium of love? No, forget it. We'll come back to that.
To be continued.
Yes. I've got another question on my. I have a list. What's the most recent bad habit that you've developed?
Oh. I feel like my life at times is just a constant fucking battle with my vices.
All right, so let's have a list of the vices, and I'm going to put all your physical dimensions on this poster.
This is my Hollywood CV. Let's see if I pass the next test.
So vices, I'm going to put smoking down because I've seen you smoking a lot.
Yeah. I have bad eating habits.
Ooh. But are you still doing the vegan stuff? Or?
Yeah.
That's good. It can't be that bad.
It's not that bad. It's when I eat and how much I eat, and I tend to punish myself.
Do you think that's because of the vegan diet itself? Do you reckon that's? Sometimes I get like so compulsively hungry that I'll just eat everything, and I'll do it like sometimes. I'll give you an example. Right, we played at the Steel House Festival. Do you know? Have you done that one before?
Sounds very familiar.
Maybe you've seen a poster for it in your hometown or something. It's down that way, I think. Maybe it's in Wales, actually.
Oh,
it's in that
around
direction.
here.
You know the one I mean? It's up in the mountains or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we pulled up there, and it was a rainy day, nothing to do, couldn't really get off the bus and walk around. So I was just sat there going, oh, fuck. And then I got hungry. I was like, what's on the catering? And the vegan option looked like, I don't know, it was probably just some porridge. Or no, gruel, I think it was. It was gruel masquerading as porridge. And I don't even think they salted it. You know, it was pretty bland. So I sent somebody out to get a bacon roll.
Really?
Yeah, I went full bacon roll. And then after that, I sent them back to get another one. And the second one I had was about 10 minutes before we went on stage, which I never do. I'm usually like 4 hours clear, you know?
It's like the worst thing you could ever do.
But I think that was a compulsive, like, it was frustration, it was boredom, it was definitely self-destructive. Is that the kind of food eating you're talking about? Do you eat like when you get like in this way, do you have a big curry just before you go on stage?
I don't do that anymore. It's
so you have done the big curry before you go on stage?
I've done that before. The worst thing we ever did, we had a residency in the Monarch in Camden.
So did we. That's an amazing coincidence. Do you mean the barfly, or the Monarch that became the barfly, or then the other one that became the Monarch?
The other one that became the Monarch, the one that's opposite the Camden stables on the road.
So that's nearer the Lock Tavern than the barfly, right?
So the barfly was like still up here on the corner of the street.
Yeah.
And the Monarch was a little bit just further down the road, opposite a bus stop, right on that street.
I wonder if it used to be called something else.
It probably was. This was like 7 years ago or so.
Well, it's definitely, it's post all those changes, I think.
And they had, there was like a pizza place, and the whole band, we decided to have like a calzone, probably about half an hour before going on stage.
Is this going to be another shitting yourself story?
But I mean, with the eating, like, you know, just, I mean, to be real, I have these, like, especially now that every single person has a phone, and there's just so much like footage of like me just floating around. Like I get extremely like self-conscious at times, and I even now I find it extremely difficult to watch myself, whether it's like on Instagram or you know, it's the simplest things. If I'm around my parents and, you know, they've all had a couple of glasses of wine, they're like, oh, let's start getting the YouTube out. Yeah, and I just like, I can't watch it because I don't like the way I look. You know what I mean? It's like it's a constant.
What's wrong with the way you look?
I don't know.
Is there something specific that you'd like to change? I can tell you, everybody in the comments thinks you look wonderful, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, I can't. I'm working on it, because at the end of the day, if you don't like something, then the best thing to do is obviously do something about it. But it's.
So does this play into your eating habits then? Is this what you're?
It does, yeah, it does. Like sometimes I won't eat, you know, for a few days, and then other times I'll kind of like eat more, and then it, you know, goes kind of like back and forth. It's, you know, so that's vice number one.
Wow. So I'm going to put down very serious eating disorder.
V serious.
Yeah, but you know what? I obviously I've had a little bit of experience in the older eating disorders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was, because my thing was, when I was a kid, I was super thin, and I wanted to play competitive sports and team sports, and I wanted to be bigger. So my dad was like, yeah, have this full fat milk, eat this steak, get big. And nothing worked. I was just burning everything off all the time. I was running about everywhere. I was running in a running club when I was playing football all the time. I just didn't put on any weight. And then when my drinking got pretty serious, that's when I discovered the secret to putting on weight. and I unlocked it. And in a very short time, I was bigger than my dad, And in fact, somebody was trying to edge past me at the what was that place called? The Good Mixer. You know that place? Good Mixer in Camden. Oh, fuck. Maybe that's not even there anymore. But it used to be where everyone went in the 90s, early noughties. I remember edging past somebody and then going, fucking hell, you've grown, and you. So I thought that was your dad edging past me. So and then it was like we started doing shows, and I was already getting my top off, first couple of shows, just because it made me laugh. Just I wasn't in shape, and it just made me laugh, And maybe it sort of helped me as a performer. But my brother said to me, and he didn't say this with any malice, and it's certainly not his fault. He said, obviously you were born to be a front man, but wouldn't it be great if your body looked as though it deserved, or was born to be a front, or something like that? I was like, oh, I'm fat. Now I see it. And then it was like,
so that was early on.
That was early on. That's before anything. And then I probably like 2001, I want to say 1 to 2, I was like absolutely ripped, completely like shredded. And then my drinking started again around about 2003, I suppose. I want to say 3. And then I got big, small, big, small. It just keeps happening.
I mean, like, how did you go from, dad bod to totally ripped?
It was I had this friend. He was like he was just a bit mad, really. He was in this band called what are they called, LHB, and they did sort of electronic music. And he used to bike around everywhere, and he never did any exercise apart from the biking, but somehow had a six-pack. And I was like, how did you get that six-pack? And he lent me this book of nutrition, and he said, you don't need to read this book, just this page here. And it was breaking down the things that you need. And then so he would take a supplement which would cover all of these, like it'd be arginine, lysine, and stuff like that. Then he would eat a biscuit, like a rich tea, and that'd be his lunch. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And I did that for about 2 months, and then all the weight went. Then I just ate salads and was just looking after myself, doing fitness stuff, playing football again.
Wow. So But I
tell you what, the biggest thing was stopping drinking. That really.
Wow. So you actually stopped drinking?
I did. I stopped drinking before it was a real problem.
That was like Mission to Land kind of like era. Then you'd stop drinking.
I stopped up to and including the recording of Permission to Land. And then I think I might have just had a little celebration drink at the end of that process, and might have got a little bit out of hand, I suppose.
Wow. So you wouldn't have guessed that. Like seeing the images, looking at like the videos and everything like that. I mean, it's obviously all entertainment, but as a member of public, sort of like witnessing that, you'd think that you were sort of like the stereotypical sort of like rock star kind of like party boy, like rock and roll all night, party every day, Which
I was really anti-drugs for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, I was anti-drugs I would get into fights with people about drugs. I just hated the idea of them, and I don't know, it just used to piss me off.
Interesting.
And then I just one day I was thought, I'm going to try everything. As many times as I can,
Wow.
Don't know why. It's just one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah.
But are you how can I put this? Does your weight fluctuate, or is it kind of? Because mine fluctuates, but I go from morbidly obese to way too skinny, and it takes me a couple of months to get to either extreme, really.
I think it's one of those things that, singers definitely feel the pressure, kind of like more, or depending on what kind of frontman you want to be. You know what I mean? Like, I'd say, I don't mean to like kind of speak for you, but I've always loved those kind of larger than life frontmen who are just as good to sort of like look at as good as they are to listen to.
Yeah.
And anything in between that is just kind of like, meh. So yeah, it does fluctuate because, I mean, for instance, I shot a video probably like a month ago, and then leading up to that video, I was like very strict, running every day, drinking like to a minimum, eating what I needed to, and I'm working kind of towards that. So it definitely does fluctuate. Yeah.
I was in the studio with what's the name? Do you ever come across the My Chemical Romance gang? Did you ever meet those guys?
No, I haven't. No.
Because I was in the studio with them once, and they were all just like wearing tracksuits, all spotty, just eating burgers all the time. I was like, "Fuck! How do you do that? I mean, how can you?
Yeah.
How can you do that and then look like that? It's unbelievable." And
Yeah.
they said that while they're making an album, they just eat whatever they want. They just get fucked up every day, make the album, just eat whatever they want, and then as soon as the album's in the can, they do the opposite to what I did. As soon as the album's in the can, they only eat steamed vegetables. That's it for the rest of the campaign until they start doing the shoots and the.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if that's healthy either, really.
I don't think so. And the kind of older I'm getting, I'm still trying to navigate like some sort of a balance. But maybe it's just something like in my personality. And to be honest, I'm sort of thinking, is anyone really kind of wired naturally to sort of like look at themselves, look at their schedule, and think like, okay, I'm gonna be doing this at this time. I have to work towards that to a point of like kind of extreme, because that will last a lifetime or longer than I will anyway. That image, that video, whatever it is, and then you can sort of like relax. The problem with me is I go from one thing to the next. I'll happily sort of be extremely disciplined, and then as soon as it's over.
But do you feel like when you're being disciplined, do you feel like that's not living?
It's tough. Like, it's great. Like, I sleep really well. I feel good. But, I hear the Rolling Stones and I'm just like, I just want to get fucked up.
Yeah, but Rolling Stones is Mick Jagger running on a treadmill for an hour every day of his life.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a day when he doesn't do it. He's in the dance studio. He's doing all this stuff. He's eating super healthy. He's singing about all that stuff, but he's not doing it. He's not.
I mean, that's the thing. I've been sold a lie. I've been sold like, but it's
on the other hand, like Keith Richards is doing that, and they both look the same. So
yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I think everyone's built differently, and I would say like in terms of like my physique, I don't have like a naturally kind of like I don't have a super fast like my metabolism. Right. I remember being like self-conscious even at the age of sort of like 8 years old, and doing like star jumps like on my bed, thinking like, gotta like.
What do you think prompted that though? Where does that come from?
Fuck knows. I mean, I can absolutely. I wouldn't know, because even what I thought, my sort of like expectation of what I should be or what a performer should be wasn't even sort of like in my head at that time, because I wasn't.
There must have been like somebody that you were looking up to because everybody thinks that social media is the thing, isn't it? Like, oh, you look at a picture of somebody that's been manipulated, and then it's an unrealistic sort of interpretation of beauty, and it makes you want to.
It's probably my action,
trying to achieve
man.
something impossible. Probably was. It was
probably your action, I was probably touching that plastic torso, and then my own.
I want to have I want my skin to be like that plastic. Yeah. I don't want my skin to yield at all.
No. So and.
But you must. I mean, whenever you've seen like Like, 'cause you worked with Robbie, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you ever have a conversation with him along these lines?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Because I remember
really.
he was somebody that must have struggled with that stuff as well. I remember when we played with him at Nebworth, and I remember I was reading the program, and the guy that was, you know, the editorial in there was a puff piece really about Robbie and how great it's going to be, and you know they were selling it as a souvenir really. So there was nothing challenging in the line of questioning. But this guy said, "So Robbie, when the crowd sees you come on the stage, what do you think? What do you want them to think?" And he went, "I want them to think I'm buff." You know? It's like, and that's the reality, isn't it, for us singers? I think that's actually.
It is.
You want to feel fabulous. You want people to look at you and go, "Wow," and you want to fit into costume as well. That's another thing.
That is it, isn't it? Because like when you get things made for you, you don't feel comfortable in it, or you've kind of like fluctuated from the time of like being measured up, you know, and you've been like a little bit naughty for like a month or so. You know, it's like anything in life. I don't think anyone kind of like doesn't enjoy sort of like putting on those jeans, going like, fuck, these are tight, you know, like they used to feel good. They used to feel like a old pair of shoes. Now they feel like, you know,
somebody else's shoes.
Someone else's shoes, yeah. But it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things, and I have these like waves in my mind every now and then when I'm just like, fuck it, like maybe just performing in my pants would just completely shatter whatever taboo it is that I have in my mind, and then that would be it. I could only go uphill after that.
We've had a similar thought actually, because for me, like that very first gig, you know, the very first gig you do, you've never sung in front of anybody before, and people are actually paying, even if it's like £2, they're actually paying to come and see you sing. And you know, that's a terrifying thought, isn't it, at that stage? And I always had this plan. It would be like, if it's going wrong, like if it all goes wrong, instead of like trying to hide the chaos and style it out, my plan was always to take all of my clothes off and cry. And it would be, because if I went to a gig and I saw somebody drop a plectrum, you know, scrabble around for it, and then just lose his shit, take all of his clothes off and cry, I'd never forget it, and I'd go again.
Yeah,
you know,
you probably would.
So you got to have a plan. Right, you're up to eating. We've got eating.
Yeah, my nails as well. I bite my nails.
What's that about?
My nails. It's a fucking awful habit.
My brother used to do that as well.
But I'm getting better. Like I'm literally getting better. I've actually stopped, and this is the longest I've ever stopped, which is really cool.
That's good.
And I'm loving it.
Can I get? I'm going to press my round of applause button. Hang on.
Oh, you got one.
So I'm going to cross nails off then. That's it. That's gone. You've dealt with that one.
And then I guess, you know, drinking and casual drug use as well is something that
a bit
crops
casual
up.
drug. That's all right. Yeah. So we'll say I'll just put drink. I'll put drink and drugs in the same thing. Yeah.
Sentence. Yeah. They kind of go hand in hand.
Do you do drinking before you go on?
No.
Yeah, I never used to do that either.
No, I tend to stay quite dry when I'm on tour.
Before and after?
Before like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks leading up to it, I'll sort of.
No, I meant before and after showtime.
Yeah. So like, I've gone 2 or 3 months without touching a drop on tour, like nothing, and then I come home, I get the plane, land in London, arrive at 7 a.m. I get to Devon for about 1:30, and then I just live in the pub for a week. And just
so you're a massive provincial alcoholic, the kind that the kind that is just a permanent fixture in your local boozery.
Pretty much. But like I said, I can't. Everyone would be like, "Oh, come on, Luke! Like, just have a little bit or whatever."
Have a shandy. It'd be all right with a shandy. I have a half. You could have a half, couldn't you?
It'd be very southern of me, wouldn't it?
You have to embrace that sometimes. Right, here's my third question. You ready for this?
Okay.
What was the last text that you sent to someone by accident, like the wrong person?
Oh God.
Is this like an interview where like a 10-year-old boy is interviewing who's never asked anybody any questions before? Is it like that?
No. I wouldn't. Gosh, it was probably. I think it was to. Oh yeah, this was actually quite good.
Are you looking through your phone to find the erroneous?
Yeah.
Sorry, Luke. Just as a quick side one, do you eat Cornish pasties? I suppose you can't because they've got meat in. There's a vegan version though, isn't there?
But they do some great vegan pasties now. They do some great.
That's true.
Pasties.
Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't to the wrong person, but it was actually just kind of like a miss, kind of like spelling one. I was like on a. Hold on, I'm gonna have to get my English phone. Hold on.
I think this is going well, don't you guys? I've got loads of questions. I've got like 20 questions for you.
So like I went on this date, and then I said to my sister, by the way, like, if it goes well, I'll let you. If you don't hear anything, then it's obviously gone well, and I'll see you the next day. And she was like, okay. And I wanted to text her saying on my way back, in a hurry I put on my back. So very mixed signals.
But that's your sister though.
That was my sister.
Okay.
But it wasn't to the wrong person, but it's kind of close.
I always used to do that thing of like, sorry, that was meant for someone else, and I do it on purpose. You know what I mean? It was just to annoy my manager. We've had a few managers now, but I used to send it like during a legal meeting. I would send him one across the table, followed by a sorry, that was meant for someone else. And then we had a big falling out, and I'd sent him a wedding invite, and so I'll tell you what it was. I got a taxi from the airport home after a tour. It cost 300 quid or so, or maybe it was more. I don't know. It was a lot of money, and the tour manager asked me if I wanted one. I said, "Yeah, I'll have one. Why not?" I didn't realise it was my responsibility to save the band's money. I thought if somebody says, "Do you want something?" I'm going to say yes. I'm a singer, So yeah. I got home, and then he went mental. He was like, that taxi cost more than my commission for the entire tour." So, well, don't book it for me then, And then
it's not my problem, mate.
Yeah, it's not my problem. And I said, and then when I signed off my rebuttal, I put, "Oh yeah, that wedding invitation. Sorry, that was meant for someone else."
Ooh.
Meow.
How many times have you been married then?
I've been married one time. I'm still married. I'm still married.
Oh, yeah. Congrats.
I'd like to say it's a happy marriage, but that would be a fucking lie. I'm just kidding. No, we're separated.
You've got to ask, haven't you? Because it's not easy, like in this business, like having any sort of stable relationship. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm trying to think of an example where it's been successful. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it's tough, isn't it? It's tough.
I was going to say the Carpenters, but that's brother and sister. That's a different type of relationship.
ABBA, that was never successful.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac.
And they were together, like 24/7, which
Yeah, you'd think that the distance is the thing, but it's not, is it? It's the.
I think it's the pressure. I think it's the lifestyle.
Also, like within a band, it shows you if like some married people can't make it when they're in the same artist, experiencing the same shows, it shows you that it's a different experience for different people. You know?
Yeah.
Everybody sees everything totally differently. I mean, it's obvious, really, but singers and other blokes are different. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry, guys. That's the reality.
So when you were growing up, were you a bit of a ladies' man, or
No, I think I always wanted to be.
Have you ever been a bit of a ladies' man? Would you describe yourself as a ladies' man?
I would say I've overachieved with the looks that I was blessed with. I've definitely overachieved, and a lot of that is because of my career. I would say, you know. But then again, which came first? Was the career in order to improve that area of my life, or did that? You know what I mean? Like what?
I mean, that's also another important question, because I've met a lot of people who literally go into music just to sort of meet women and stuff like that, and it's
these people are called perverts, though, aren't they? They're usually keyboard players.
It's a troubling thing to hear, because it's not for the faint-hearted, and if you're in it for those kind of reasons, it's never good, and it always has to be about the music, the love of performing, and actually getting up and doing
that's
it.
what sustains it, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, you are obviously somebody that's totally passionate about it. I really admire your work ethic and how long you've slogged at it. And let me ask you this: are you still working with James Diener?
I am, yeah.
He's still your manager?
Just tried ringing me, like when we first started the combo. I am. How long have you known James?
I've known him for about 11 years, I suppose. No, maybe more, actually. 12 years. Something like that. He was the first person to tell me about you, because I think I was kind of becoming aware of you. I'd seen you say a couple of things about me, I think, on maybe Twitter or something like that. I'm not sure how I knew it. I kind of knew about you already, but he called me up and he said, you've got to... I think he wanted me to write with you, actually, at one point. It was when you were working with... when you did that stuff with Greg Alexander and people like that.
Oh, yeah, Greg, yeah.
Yeah, who's a really good old friend of mine. I know him really well.
He's told me some stories.
Has he? all good?
All good, but like the level of like truth is
Chime me. Just to let everybody know, Greg Alexander was he was the singer in the New Radicals.
New Radicals, yeah, correct.
And I met him because, you know, mid to late 90s, we were all in London. Nobody had any money, sleeping on each other's floors, just trying to do something in music, you know. And he was one of us, and so he was sleeping on my floor in Islington. We had a flat in Islington which was owned by Frankie's brother. So it was me, Frankie, Dan, one of our friends called Jamie on the floor in the living room, and Greg was in there as well. And
see, that was one of the stories. Stories, and I was like, nah, Greg, nah. And then one of the biggest things he did, sort of, you know, confide in me was obviously after Permission to Land and the band obviously split up, and he was like, Luke, I got the band back together. I called the guys up. I said, you guys have got to do this. You guys, the world needs the darkness. You guys need... And he said that he ended up going to... You recorded that one-way ticket at Rockfield, right? Was it in Wales?
Yeah, we did some of it in Rockfield. But when Greg came down, it was... he came to... There was Whitfield... Is it Whitfield Street? Did you ever go there? I think it's shut now. Whitfield Street was... I think Sony owned it. It was a studio that was in London, right in the middle of London. It's not there anymore, I don't think. But he came down there, and you know what Greg's like when he's singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, but all of his like when he's ad-libbing, it sounds like he's ad-libbing, but you record him ad-libbing 5 times, they're all exactly the same. Like the first thing that comes into his head is the next thing he's going to sing every time until the end of time, because he's right first time, and there's nothing wrong with that. He really believes in his first idea.
Yeah,
and it's great.
He's got good instincts.
He sure has. That's really true.
I just want to set the record straight. Well, if you're obviously going to, but he said that he sang backup vocals on One Way Ticket.
Yeah, that's true. He did. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, he did? Oh my God, Greg.
Yeah, he did, totally. It was one of the best days of that session, actually. It was really good fun.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well,
because he's just hilarious, He's like, I mean, he always used to say to me, "Oh, you know what, Justin? I'm not going to do the American accent. I'm working on this deal." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, Greg. Yeah, we all are. Yeah." And it's going to be like a $4 million record deal. I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, can make sure you shut the fridge after you've taken the milk out. Would you mind doing a bit of washing up as well? Is that right? That kind of stuff. And then like within 2 months of him saying that, it was like, fuck me, okay. He wasn't kidding. It was like,
no.
He was huge. He was absolutely huge. And like, all those songs he wrote for Ronan Keating were brilliant as well.
Oh my God, yeah, and the Santana one, the
Murder on the Dance Floor.
Yeah. One of my favorite ones was the Game of Love. Have you heard the original demo version? That's on.
Let
YouTube?
me guess. Has it go? Ow! Has it got that at the beginning? Yeah. I think it's just, in Greg's head, just everything is just like a party all the time.
Yeah.
And then when you hear him like in an interview, it's just like, wow. It's really Tin Hat Brigade kind of. It's just brilliant. I love him. I do miss him. And that guy is like. When I stand next to him, he is towering. He must be like 6'5" or something. That guy is fucking massive. I love him.
I mean, I owe him a lot. Well, the whole band does. I think
I owe him actual money, to be honest.
But he when James was when we broke away from our previous management. And we were obviously talking to a lot of our close friends, Greg being one of them, obviously, about giving us some advice of like who to go to and whatnot. And we just played with the Stones in France. So there was, people were kind of like talking about like, well, who the fuck is this band? Blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you gotta meet these guys, like James Deaner. He's like the best. He's the best. He was like, if I had my moment again, I would go straight to that man. And
do you know what? I think if I had my moment again, I would go straight to that man. I actually concur.
Really?
Yeah, I think James Deaner is a fucking great manager and a really smart, music-minded person as well.
I do love chatting music to him.
He's a smart guy. He really is. Yeah.
He's great. So yeah, Greg, if you're watching,
let's tell everyone who James Deaner is then. So your manager, he's the guy who started Octone Records, right? And that Octone is the label that made Maroon 5's first record. So he's personally responsible for a guy with absolutely no talent taking over the entire world. I mean, that's all James.
To be fair.
Luke, there is no we're moving on now. Next question.
I have a funny Adam Levine story.
Don't be fair.
I've got a good Adam Levine story.
You will not. There'll be no sympathetic ears here. But please, no, I'm kidding. Go on.
In fact, I was quite like semi kind of bewildered / kind of insulted. But we played the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and his wife is one of the models, and so he was there, and James was there. Everyone was there. So after the performance, blah blah blah. I go and say hi to Adam, and I was like, "Hi, mate. How's it going? Just small talk, small celeb small talk as you do." Right. And I said, "Did you enjoy it?" He was like, "Bro," he was like, "You're like the British Maroon 5." I was like,
Did you? Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I processed it. I took a deep breath, and I thought, coming from he's obviously a man who thinks very highly of himself. I thought, what a lovely compliment.
Yeah, I mean, probably within the parameters of his existence, that is the highest compliment a man can pay. He's basically saying you're God, the British God.
A British God. Yeah. That's what you are. So there we go. But yeah, we can move on from Mr. Levine.
Wow. So that's not malignant narcissism, or is that? Or that's just narcissism in general, is it?
I think it is. I think that's the definition.
Imagine if I come up to you and I said, you're like the, South Coast, the darkness.
It'd just be a weird thing to say.
Actually...
You're like, go into it.
Put that on the next start saying that to people, Imagine if what you should do though is go to a more established artist, like when next time you're speaking to Mick Jagger and say, you know what the Stones are? The Stones are old ass the Struts. Right, this is I've thought long and hard about these questions, as you know. Wow. If you could get rid of any state in the US and then never have to drive through or tour there again, which one would you get rid of? You don't have to answer that if you're worried about upsetting anybody. Okay, let's move on.
No, I guess it would be like, once you get to places like Kansas, and the kind of middle of America where it takes just forever to get from A to B.
That's the issue, isn't it? It's not the place itself. It's not the people. It's certainly not the shows, because in fact those middle shows are where the real fun is.
They are, and no one gives a shit. No one takes anything too seriously. In fact, I agree. I tend to really enjoy playing everywhere between East and West. It's when you get closest to the sea, people seem to sort of just be very offended by everything.
Why is that? Do you think because they live near the coast, they feel like they need to be I don't know, what's the vibe?
Heard.
What do you think is because they feel more connected to the rest of the world? They're worried about what people think of Americans, so they're always looking over their shoulder.
Well, that's
out
the thing.
to sea.
That's the irony of it. That's the irony of the whole situation when it comes to America, because everyone's sort of like, the way that most of the world kind of views America is solely based on, New York, LA, and maybe sort of like Florida.
Yeah, the big angel, the city of apples.
Yeah, and that's it. But for me, I mean, we're kind of turning the question around. But when we're going through some of those places, that's when I really feel like I'm out on the road. Yeah. When it is just like desert, and then you pull over and you go to like one of those gas stations and you can literally buy a fucking gun and some chewing gum. Not like I would or condone it, but it's like there's something in that,
Yeah.
Which is inspiring in a way.
Yeah, but then you do get the sense that, like, if you're standing in like certain aisles of the supermarché, and somebody comes up to you,
the women's
and says,
section.
I don't know. Like, if you're like, I don't know, say you're, well, if you're standing near the beer, right, and then somebody comes over and says, "Hey, we're going to have a party," don't you feel like that's a much more dangerous proposition than if you're at Morrison's?
True.
Would you go to a party that a random person in a supermarket invited you to? I'm asking for a friend because that happened to me once.
I'd be lying I'd be lying if I would say that I've never done that before. Yeah, I certainly definitely have ended up at random people's houses after an invitation at various petrol stations.
What about when it turns out it's not even a house and it's more like a parking, like a multi-story car park that seems to have been abandoned, and there's just some boxes and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't quite.
And then you're doing crack. Does that ever happen to you?
I remember doing
in Georgia.
No? Yeah, right. I remember in the UK.
Put that down as a yes.
Yeah, put it down as a yes.
Put that down as a yes.
In the UK, we were driving from one show to the next in a little white transit van, and I think it was me and the guitar tech / sound guy / tour manager. It was only like 5 of us, and we ran into like these 2 scousers at a service station. They're like, "Do you want any fucking gear, mate? You want some fucking gear?" It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. We're like, "Yeah, fuck it, go on then." We just sat in like this Escort, just like
So what did you buy off them then?
Lines. We just had a couple of cheeky lines of coke and just sort of chatted shit for a couple of hours and then drove off.
In Liverpool, I was lucky with that because it's the only city I ever found where they sold cocaine in smaller quantities than a gram. Because they really tried to make it accessible for everybody, which is not obviously like it's anti-noble in a way. But I remember buying some of that stuff and it just didn't do anything. And then Frankie told me a story that like his brother had bought, or one of his brothers had bought some what he thought was going to be a wrap of cocaine off somebody in Liverpool. And then when he got it to his he opened it up and it was just some human shit. I've been had. I can see that
the worst places for it are, it's when you're where it genuinely gets dangerous with that kind of thing is when
Liverpool.
You're overseas. Say again?
Where it gets dangerous with that kind is Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool or like Paris.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember being in Paris and we were driving we drove from Derby to the south of Spain to record this track in a studio in Granada. So we spent the night like in Paris, and we all obviously went out and wanted to have like a good time and started chatting as you do. Anyway, I ended up in an alley with this very strange looking man, and we hadn't been to Paris a whole lot, quite young, quite naive, and we exchanged money.
Well, no, you exchanged money.
I exchanged. I gave him the money. He gave me what I thought were the drugs. He then made me hide it in my ass, convinced me that people were watching everywhere, and that's what I needed to do.
Because I mean, when you stick stuff up your ass, nobody bats an eyelid in Paris.
It becomes invisible, apparently, untraceable. And then so I then got back to my hotel room, pulled what I thought was a bag of coke out of my ass, and it was just crushed up ibuprofen at best.
How far up your ass was the ibuprofen? Do you mind me asking? Sorry.
It was far enough. Far enough.
Did you actually go in the ass, or did you just put?
Yeah,
it in the crack?
I went in the ass. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
He was staring at me intently, making sure. I was
Was he saying, like, "Is it in yet?" And that.
He was like, "Come on, hurry up, hurry." I was like,
wow.
I'm good.
Wow. Time is of the essence, though, isn't it, I suppose, with those things?
It is in those situations.
Ever hidden anything under your foreskin? No, I'll ask a different question. Hang on.
No, I actually haven't.
Okay, no, yeah, me neither. I don't know why I asked that. Here's a proper singer's question.
Okay.
What's a misconception that people have about what we do that should be debunked? People think that we sleep with men, for a start.
Yeah. It's tough, isn't it? Because there's so many kind of stereotypes that one way or another have kind of been ticked off.
It's difficult to answer because the whole point of doing what we do is that the cliche and the dream is also the goal and the ambition. And it's like, if you don't do it the way people expect you to do it, you're not doing it properly.
No.
That's the reality. There are so few people that are prepared to go and do it properly. You're one of them.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm one of them. And it used to... does it annoy you when you see singers that aren't doing it properly? When I say properly, I do that, but we both know that I mean property in capital letters. You know.
I'd say a sort of general misconception across the board is that it's just an absolute kind of hoot and an amazing time, kind of like 24/7. You know, I think so, especially now with social media, more than ever. In fact, it's probably actually tamed down, because back in the day you could probably control your image a hell of a lot more. whether it was one interview that you did with this magazine or whatnot, you can control the pictures. You can, they're not going to see you, in a flying economy, for instance, like cramped up, like going into Japan for God knows how many hours. They're not going to see all the kind of shitty little hotel rooms that you had to kind of like stay in, and still kind of had to, even when things are like looking pretty good, So I think the misconception of that it's always super glamorous could definitely be shot down, because it really isn't. It really fucking isn't. I mean, you shit
People
yourself
think
on the tour bus.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, just getting back to the shitting yourself. You must have played the Paradise in Boston. You know that place?
Paradise.
Where do you normally play in Boston? Is it like House of Blues or bigger stuff?
I can't remember. Is it Boston?
It's a really great venue, but it's quite small.
Describe the backstage. That's how I know
Okay,
venues.
yeah. Right, then I'm going to give you... I can do a diagram, actually.
I mean, we both know that one place that has like the hot tub and the jacuzzi, right, and the piano.
Yeah, where's that again? That's up in New York State somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, and they have like the downstairs with the arcade, and they have the fruit machines.
Yeah.
And then upstairs you've got like
I've only played there once, but I can't. It escapes me now which town that's in.
Yeah, see? It's weird. They all seem to kind of like mold into one.
Yeah, that's it. The show you have no recollection of, but the hot tub.
Yeah, I remember the hot tub and the sauna.
Oh, that's weird, isn't it? Okay, so Boston Paradise. Here's the backstage area. You have like a rectangular room. There's
Is it blue as well? Is it a blue wall?
Off the yeah, it is, I think. Well, it's got blue carpet anyway. This is aerial looking down. There's a little area there. I think probably. Then the support band dressing room there. I guess there's some kind of stairway that goes down to the venue. 2 washing machines.
2.
Some bog. There's the headlining. It's like a grotty old flat in London upstairs, because it's sort of like the floor's uneven. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I'm looking at it right. I'm looking at the stage.
Here's this is where the washing machines are. Just there.
It sounds super familiar. Oh, it's got pillars in the live room.
Yeah, 2 big round pillars. Impossible to climb, but impossible to resist trying to climb. It's
like a over exaggerated Fleece and Firkin in Bristol.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a bit bigger than that, I think. And there's a higher balcony too.
Yeah, it looks like about 1,000, 800 cap.
Yeah, but we normally do multiples there because it's such a great venue and really nice people and stuff.
I swear we've done this venue.
I'd imagine you would have. You
it's
should
weird,
do
like
it. You should do it if you get a chance. It's great, actually. It's a great place. But we had that thing where we were parked up. The driver was getting his sleeps before the next long drive, or whatever it was, and I had a moment like yours, the one you described, and I knew I wasn't going to make it because the venue was locked up. There was no way. There's nothing I could do. So, tour manager was asleep. The only person I could turn to was Rufus.
Help.
Rufus, this is an emergency. I need to go to the toilet. I hadn't followed through or anything like that. Nothing bad had happened. There was no. I wasn't in the brown zone. I was heading towards
red
the brown.
zone.
I was
amber zone.
It was definitely like amber alert. And so Rufus covered for me and created a diversion while I went round the back of the bus. And the piece of metal that's like that, and then it connects to the trailer with all the gear in it.
Yeah.
I sat with my ass over the triangle of metal and shat in the road from there. That's how you do it. You don't even need to go in the venue. You just need somebody running a decoy.
Why didn't you just get like a plastic bag and just line the toilet?
This was my other option, but I didn't. I'm not comfortable with walking around with a bag of shit. I've had a dog for too many years.
True, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, and I always felt like that bag thing. Something's going to go wrong with the bag, and then in the end, there's just going to be a shit in a toilet, and it wouldn't matter because I'm the singer. I could do what I want, but it's still bad. I'm trying to be a benevolent leader in this, and I don't want to be shitting in the toilet and saying "fuck you lot."
Yeah, or the guy that stinks out the entire bus.
And I don't want that to be me. No. Not after what happened last. I know. I mean, just okay. Right. Here we go. How? I've forgotten the question. How has the pandemic affected your ability to interact with your audience? Has it made it better?
Well, I mean, obviously, quite heavily. You know what, though? If I'm being completely honest, I've taken full advantage of what I would see is kind of like downtime, because while being on tour for what seemed kind of like just carried on and on and on and on, as you do with like album cycles, I always had this fantasy of like, well, when am I going to get to sort of live a bit like Led Zeppelin did in The Song Remains the Same, when they're when Robert Plant's sort of like walking around in Wales and like just chilling, and then they get like a telegram saying you're going on tour, and then you end up doing it. But they seem to have been sort of existing, and for so many years it felt like we never really sort of got a chance to kind of soak it in and appreciate all of like what we had achieved, and see our friends. And I mean, for the most part, when I came back to the UK in August last year, from August to like October, that had been the most time that I'd spent in one place for like 6 years, in like those kind of like 3 months. So I know full well, as soon as everything really opens back up, like I'm going to be absolutely worked double time, making up for lost time.
Is this your manager making you work like that, or is this coming from you?
I still have a massive drive to sort of like...
At what point do you think you'll have achieved the thing that makes you relax, though?
I don't know.
Is it a number one album, or is it like an award? Is there any? Which of the awards matter? Any of them? Does anything matter? What matters?
I look at it more of sort of like the audience. I look at it more of, I mean, because music's changed so much, even from sort of the early sort of like 2000s, like that was really like the last golden age of not only rock music, but sort of like how music was distributed and sold and everything. And then everything just completely like flipped on its head. And then now it's becoming it's like the wild, wild west again. And I think in terms of rock music, my biggest thing, and which is, why I looked up to you guys growing up so much, was sort of like being really odd ones out in terms of like the industry, and sort of being really proud of it, but doing it with grace and like quality, and it really sort of feeling like it prevailed. Like when I saw you guys like sweep the Brit Awards, like I was watching that on telly, and I had always enjoyed the Brit Awards, but I'd never sort of been sort of like emotionally invested in sort of like an artist or a group like I had been that year. And it was kind of like a great feeling, like when they called out your name, and it was like, you knew it was like real rock music, that obviously like resonated with me personally. But so I guess on some sort of levels, I'd like to I'd like to have some sort of like taste of that, because it
But
seems
you know
more
when you're talking
unreachable.
about the Brits there, our experience of the Brits was exactly the same as what you're describing with the not being able to do the wandering around in Wales, or chopping the tops off champagne bottles with a great big sort of medieval sword, or flying like a light aircraft while somebody else in the band has got a Porsche, and then you're going along. We didn't get to do any of that even after the Brits, because that night, after we'd won everything, they had us on a plane, like a private jet, going to Germany because we had to do some promo the next day on a important TV show. And I say important TV show because what's more important than celebrating like the biggest night of your life? You know, what's more important than that? And sort of acknowledging the achievement, like you just said. You know, I think our experiences have actually been quite similar.
Yeah, and I think
Have they learnt nothing?
But I think, when does it stop? I think like, you know, I really feel like I've still got like so much like left to kind of like go like musically. So it's really kind of like what really keeps us all going, really. We just still have like an incredible drive, because the odds couldn't be more against a band now more than ever, so it feels like, anyway. And I'm a great believer that
even like
prevails.
just going back to Maroon 5, Coldplay, or bands that, you know, emerged in the noughties, you know, like, as you said, in a time when music was something that you owned, or it was a product, and then it became a service, and these bands survived, but they're not bands anymore. Like Maroon 5 doesn't sound like a band to me. It sounds like a producer with a singer. And Coldplay's the same, actually. I don't think that doesn't even sound like a band. You know. And I feel like when people achieve things people that achieved things in that period, if they want to maintain success, they have to dilute, and they have to keep diluting. And it's the opposite approach. If you want to make an impact, you have to, what's the opposite of dilute? Solidify what you're doing. Or, do you know what I mean? I'm not sure what the word is.
Yeah.
You have to be more extreme, and you have to make more of an impact, and be totally the anti whatever's happening in that moment. It drives me mad when people are trying to do what the other person's doing. Like, I've been in writing sessions when like the producer's gone, oh, that Imagine Dragons song is in the charts. That sounds good. Should we just do something that tempo, that key, that sound, and with that lyrical idea? Yeah, should we do that? And like, there's to be able to break through that, you've got to be completely belligerent and believe in yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a fine line. I think it's intelligent. You know, for instance, you know, I mean, you talk about a writing session. There's something to be said about being aware what's like kind of around you, which I do feel like is important, because that kind of motivates me even more. Like when I listen, it's almost like sometimes when I listen to the top 40, or like these days, if I scroll through Instagram, and I
is that
I
how
see,
you
like,
see what's in the charts, by looking at Instagram now?
But if I go through like fucking NME or something like that, and there's like these bands that are like the fucking hot new artists, and you know, look out for this person, and so is back, and then I'm kind of listening to it like, the fuck, like it's not that great. Like,
that's the problem with NME. Like, it always used to be the thing where the nature of their editorial was to try and guess what the next big thing was going to be, and that makes them just as bad as, you know, like a broad, like a you know, like a TV show approach to it. You know, it's like they only write positive things about the bands that they think are going to make it, because they don't want to seem stupid, or they don't want to give they can't offer a musical opinion. They're just not capable of doing it. Do you know what I mean? They just want to say, oh, these are the ones that will win the race, so let's all support them.
Yeah, the whole
like a gambling magazine, actually. There is such a thing.
But I think, going back to like your original question, I think that's also a big part that comes to play, and I know it's kind of fickle, but our careers is been such a unique sort of adventure, on a pathway which has been really kind of against the grain, like an English band who puts out a record, doesn't do nothing in the UK with our biggest songs on that album. Not one radio station plays it, and then we get picked up by an American management company, go to America, then the songs blow up. We then take them back to the UK radio. They still don't want to play them. So we're kind of like, what the fuck's going on? And then we do another record.
What's that resistance based on then? What, at the time when you're getting rejected in that way, how do you, what do you think's causing it? What, do you take it personally?
Well, I was convinced that I shagged someone's missus or something like that. There was... And this is the problem. If you think, I used to think about it a lot, and it used to sort of drive me a little bit insane to the point where I would blame myself, because I'm the singer, like somewhat like the face of a group or the leading personality, if you want to call it that. So I would let a lot of the responsibility kind of fall on myself, and I think like, is it the way I sound? Is it the way I talk? Is it the way I dress? I mean, probably to an extent, like some of these things are probably true. And then you get to the point of realization going, well, I didn't care at 18, 19, like when no one was playing us anyway.
That's really a test, isn't it? Because I think if you experience those things and because the party line should always be, don't care. That's got to be the attitude, because if you give a fuck, then you're immediately less cool, So you genuinely have to not give a fuck. And you can tell the people that give a fuck as opposed to the people that don't give a fuck, because the people that don't give a fuck keep trying, and just get on with it.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been going now? I mean, I should have asked that first, really.
Almost 12 years with me and the guitar player. 12 years. So, yeah, and then we started with this current lineup. What is it? About 8 years now? 8 years. So it's not too bad. Not too bad.
But it's not too bad, is it? But you worked so hard in such a long time.
But it's one of those things where I'm kind of at a funny showbiz age, in terms of like what I find it quite. I don't get uncomfortable about it, but people still refer to us a lot of the times as like a new young band.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I'm sort of like, really, like I don't really consider myself.
You should never admit to being over 28 ever. First rule.
First rule of show business.
Yeah.
You got the Hollywood bod, right? But now, you got to learn how to talk the lingo.
That's it, yeah. You can't be telling people how old you are.
No.
Listen to Jesse. I'll see you right. Don't worry.
But yeah, I think that's what predominantly kind of still drives me is like, we've had some really great things happen in America. Australia, as you know, are fantastic. As soon as they get hold of something, they really sort of get their teeth into it. Japan is obviously its own beast, and if you keep feeding it, then it just kind of keeps growing, and we're now sort of going more into like Germany, and you know what it is, I think it's just because I consider myself to be quite English, or whatever that means. That's how I identify myself. And
can I tell you what I think the part of the problem is?
Go for it.
Right, when you're growing up, your formative years are seeing stuff like what happened to us, and then, so when we came through, there was a different way to approach every territory. America was radio, England was press. I think Japan was mere proximity. You just had to go there and show the love. That was the whole thing. Get to Japan as often as you can. Touring everywhere was helpful, but the main sort of the target sort of areas of the media that you'd need to zero in on changed from territory to territory. Then I think around about 2007, 8, 9, it all went to tits because basically there isn't any print media. There isn't any. The press is now completely meaningless in the UK. It's totally pointless. You see them all diversifying into radio. You see them, buying venues in some instances, and you see them, becoming like an online quantity. But when you're an online quantity, you're immediately doing battle with social media, and that's just people telling each other what to listen to, not having some, and I'm sorry to use this word, twat, with a biro. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Telling you what you should be listening to, and I think it's all changed. And now there's resistance at that level. Radio, a lot of the rock stations in the States are now just people talking, or it's really retro stuff. So the game's changed there completely. Germany, they like certain things that nobody else in the world likes, and you can never guess what it is going to be. Sometimes it's like a family of 12 people from Ireland that nobody else has ever heard of. They all look exactly the same. None of them can sing. Arenas, right? One of them's David Hasselhoff. Arenas. Right? Some of them is like some monks, right? And they sing into pints of mead. No melody. It's all random. Arenas. That's it. Get them on the arena tour. And it's so weird. Like, you just can't guess what's going to go over in Germany, but you've got to go there and you've got to try it. So, I just think that when they move the goalposts like that, all you can do is work and then hope. That's really your only chance is to pray, work, and hope. Yeah,
and try new things as well.
Yeah, actually create new goalposts for yourself.
Yeah, because. And that's one thing I've really enjoyed doing. Not necessarily like to get a reaction, right? But actually, no, maybe it is as simple as that. Like I think as long as I can kind of remember, I've always enjoyed sort of changing things up once I get the feeling that people figure out exactly what I'm about and like. I would then do something and sort of kind of just
we are quite similar, you and I.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. I went for a stage like that. Well, actually, I went for a life like that. But one day I went to like the Levi's outlet store, and I thought, right, next gig, jeans and a t-shirt. And I bought like head to foot Levi's 501s, some Levi's trainers. I bought a white Levi's t-shirt. I thought it'd be like I'd go from being like this flamboyant weird bloke to basically a guy that like who one of Bryan Adams's backing band. That's what
it sounds like the front cover of Hot Summer Night Live, Neil Diamond's album. That iconic image where he just in quadruple denim.
Right, okay. Well, I didn't think of that actually. I just wanted jeans and a t-shirt. And I bought it, and then didn't even get as far as one show. It never made it off the tour bus. It was just a complete waste of money. But luckily, it was the outlet store, so
But I think it's important to do it musically as well. Like, I mean, the third record that we did was completely. It was a great sort of experiment for us, and it was done in such a short space of time, like 10 days. The whole thing was done, and everything was in lockdown. It was like, in terms of like ideas, let's just throw everything, the whole kitchen sink. I mean, maybe it's a little bit too kind of too much experimentation going on there on some levels, but it was good because it's important to know what it's important to keep conducting these experiments, because you sort of like understand more what you enjoy doing, where your kind of audience is at, where you get different people coming in. And then what I've really enjoyed, like with this latest single, it's an absolute like bop kind of like track, and it's very poppy, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. And sort of like having a feature on it with Paris Jackson and having kind of like a smooth kind of duet has been a really kind of liberating.
Suit in that, by the way, the pink suit.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's really lovely.
Zara, women's section.
Are you serious?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. The fucked up thing is, I obviously at the time.
I mean, to be fair though, you do accessorize it really cleverly with that scarf.
Yes.
Was that scarf made by a Native American tribesman?
I think my mum bought it from a charity shop.
That was my second.
I'll give you the name of the charity shop.
Okay,
you know. I don't want to reveal all of my secrets.
No, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So I mean, I was like, okay, don't have time for a stylist really, because there was about a week or so to the shoot, and you know what they're like. They fucking takes ages. It's really expensive, and I was like, I just fucking do it myself, because I tend to just do it myself now anyway.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's the best you've looked.
Really?
Yeah, because I think maybe it's my age, but things like the details and those things are way less important than the cut and the way the material moves, and also the predominant colour that you're perceiving. So I thought it was such a brilliant. I thought it was a great look.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can't believe it's Zara.
Well, this is the thing. So I went to Versace. I ended up spending
Where's
like,
that? Versace.
Versace, yes, Versace. That little Italian brand.
Yeah.
I went out on a limb and just sort of like started looking at stuff. I knew what I wanted. I want something pink. I wanted something kind of super.
It's a really great
camp.
pink. It's not quite salmon. It's more.
It's a lovely pink, isn't it?
It's like powdery, but not. No, it's just right.
So. I ended up getting a beautiful lilac, double-breasted, like jacket, and then an electric pink, which was a very much like Joe and Jet, very similar. And I got those, and you know how much those fucking things are. They're like 1,800 or whatever. So I ended up getting them, and then trying them on. Too fucking big, right? Pissed me off already, even though I ordered what I thought was 2 size. So I'm like, right, that's a waste of time. And then 2 days before the shoot, I then went on the Zara and I saw that pink suit, and I was like, boom, I'll get it. I'm going to get it in both sizes just in case.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing to do.
Turned up, and that was it. I was like, yeah, this is it.
That's cool. Can't believe it's Zara.
I can't believe it's Zara.
That's good. I'll introduce you to Angela, who makes my stuff.
Oh, fantastic.
I think that's because she does big shapes, you know, and she does fancy details when it's me forcing her to do the fiddly stuff. But she's got a good philosophy about how things should look from a distance and close up, you know, which are two totally different skills when you're a designer, I think. But you do design stuff, don't you? Do you do clothes?
Yeah,
it's sunglasses, isn't it?
I do a bit. So before everything really kicked off in the States, I was really influenced by there was a designer, which is obviously still going, called Christian Benner in New York, and I loved what he did. It was nothing particularly new, but it was just his approach.
What was his name again? What's the second name?
Christian Benner. Benner. And he was taking like old vintage motorbike jackets and just doing whatever he wanted with it. And I loved how free it was, and he would film himself doing it, and it was great. So I started like fucking around doing kind of like the same thing, and I was like, this is, how can I kind of do my own kind of thing? And then we had a video coming up, a shoot for Could Have Been Me, and they were like, what are you going to wear? And I was like, I'll do it. so I ended up painting us in I went out and got 4 jackets from All Saints, and then 2 weeks leading up to the video I was in a barn like painting them all, and I thought gold and like a blue would be really kind of cool. So everyone had their own kind of unique like design, and that was kind of it. And it turned out to be pretty cool. People still like those images that you get like as a band, that the fans seem to just like latch on and bring for you to like sign.
Oh yeah.
Or like when you arrive at the airport and those like eBay sellers, you know,
It doesn't happen
it's
to me anymore, but yeah.
it's always like a handful of like these images, and I'm really kind of flattered that they always seem to pick
The one where you
still.
styled it. That's really good.
Which is really cool.
Just for those of you at home, the PO box address is available from Miss Moneypenny, and I am a size 46R in a suit. Just to say. Oh, and Kevin's asking, do you think that Zara make one for a 48-inch waist? Sorry, I should have waited till you finished your tea there.
Hey, with the advancements in
well, I mean, is it? Suppose what we're asking, is it a stretchy material?
it's not.
No,
It's not.
probably not. Is
No,
it?
it's not. But it is a high-waisted one, which I love.
Jacob suggested getting two 24s, but I think you're going to have to get two 24 skirts and then have someone modify the middle section of it, Kev.
Sorry, Kev.
Sorry, Kevin.
So, I mean, question for you. Go on. So, have you guys managed to write it all during Armageddon? No. Or I mean, like, because everyone works differently. You know, some people have members that they kind of do a lot of things on their own, and then they kind of like bring them to the table. Some people like don't bring anything, and then things just spontaneously like happen. Like, what's your writing process, Justin?
Writing process? Well, Luke, it varies from song to song, project to project, collaborator to collaborator. When I'm on my own, I can write a song in about 10 seconds. I can write a song in less time than it takes to listen to it, and it's done, and it's fine. It might not be brilliant, but it's, you know, sometimes it is brilliant, you know. Sometimes it just comes out, and people sitting near me go, oh, that's brilliant, let's do that, it's fine. But I think what's difficult is when you have, I mean, I don't know how your band is structured. I'm not even going to guess, but I would imagine it's Mick and Keith and then the other two. And that's no disrespect to the other two. Good-looking, talented musicians. But the heart of the band is you, and to a lesser extent, Adam,
yeah, correct.
Ado. And then
Ado. He goes by many names,
yes.
to be honest.
So I feel like he's your main collaborator, and the other two are perhaps, when they're later additions anyway, so that's part of it.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Things start off with me and Ads, and then traditionally anyway, and then as a group, you know, it takes on a new kind of lease of life.
Of course it does, because you experience so many things together, and it changes. I mean, but I think what you'll find is as you go on, I mean, you do a lot of collaborative songwriting with external forces, don't you? I saw something a little while ago, and you were with Desmond Child.
Oh yeah, Desmond.
I wanted to ask you about him because he's obviously one of my heroes. Was he mad?
Not Greg mad, but on that.
If Greg's the barometer, he's perfectly sane. So. We all are, you know.
He definitely has. It's when you're in the room with him, it's pretty incredible to sort of like think. You know, this guy was, you know, responsible for I think some of Aerosmith's greatest like tracks.
Yeah, What It Takes. What else did he write?
Like,
He wrote Angel, right?
Yeah, Crazy, which I love. God, so many. It's quite hard. It's quite hard to sort of put them off the top of your head, sort of like name them all. But what he really,
I mean, if I was being a cynical person at this point, does he live in a house that's made out of money? It's like the paper mache house, but it's all just old money. With like
I didn't see his house, but his studio was quite cool.
I think that like there's pillars that are just made out of lots of coins. And Like the curtains.
He told me stories like he was telling me stories about how when he was getting heavily involved and was like leading the Latin music scene with like Ricky Martin, and that kind of exploded, and he was living in Miami.
He was living La Vida
Loca.
Miami.
I mean, those times what he was describing was pretty incredible. Like he had this ginormous house in Miami that was kind of.
Were you about to say my nanny?
My nanny.
We're really getting to the heart
to my nanny.
He had a huge house in my nanny.
That he had like as a studio. He had like multiple producers. Like it was the kind of shit that you expect, like those songwriters in LA that just kind of go from zero to hero, and they end up working with every kind of like piece of hot shit for like 3 years.
Yes,
or so.
but do you know the reality of that though?
Which is
the reality of that is it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Those guys write
300 songs a week.
Yeah, but they won't even do full songs. They'll do song starts. Have you heard of this expression?
I've seen the YouTube video, Song Starts. Have you seen that?
Oh, no, I haven't seen that, no.
Okay, I'll send it to you after. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, I want to see it. But song starts, I used to, when I was doing, because, oh God, during the split up era, I kept getting asked, I signed a publishing deal to be a writer for other people. Because when I'm on my own, I can do it quite quickly. And I was doing a lot of collaborative stuff as well. But they kept asking me for song starts. And I was like, well, what's a song start then? It's a verse, a chorus, and a bridge. Then you put your pen down and you go, right, any good to you? It's like, fuck's sake. That's not how songwriting works for me. A song is when you express something from beginning to end. The chorus and the refrain is a device to help to create a mnemonic, whatever it's called, that makes it stay in your brain. But really, you're telling a story or you're expressing something emotional. It is not write a verse, chorus, bridge, give it to every fucking pop producer in the world and hope they do something with it with a view to making some money. It's made me want to vomit. Sorry.
Pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, it's really cynical. It's like, these aren't songs, These are.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to not even sort of think about how a narrative can continue.
That's why you see a lot of like. Let's take the example of Max Martin. He's a person that nobody had heard of, and then he wrote with everybody, and he had amazing songs and like huge hits and Britney Spears and all that stuff. Right? But then you actually look at the songs he's written. There's hundreds of thousands of them. 99% of them are fucking shit. There's probably another million that we're not even aware of that are just a verse, a chorus, and a bridge that are totally meaningless and yet to be harvested. And I do use that word deliberately, because it's basically it's a song farm, and it's disgusting. Farm. These are farm songs. I'd rather have my song from a family that has nurtured and cherished it.
But I mean, the good news is I don't think Desmond ever kind of fully sort of like went down that route to that extent.
Yeah,
because
I don't feel like that either. You can tell by the songs. He's got heart.
He is, and there's nothing more than he loves than to literally like for me, one of the biggest things that this is why I love working with people a lot, because I consider myself like a half decent singer, like a good performer. Like I can write a good song, but I love sort of like learning from people as much as I can as well. And Desmond, when it comes to lyrics, like he really kind of flipped everything on its head in my brain when it came to sort of like just how fucking important it was. I mean, he had this beautiful grand piano, and we were just sat with each other, and we would sort of like throw a few sort of like lines, and we would sort of like write them down, and then he'd look at it and stand up and then say the line out loud, and if it didn't feel right with no music, you know, and he would play with like no rhythm as such. Like he would have like really rough chords, like a basic chord pattern, and he'd look and he'd be like, and he'd say the line and he'd be like, it's not quite right, like we can, you know, what are we really trying? And these writing sessions would turn into like these deep philosophical like conversations of how can you express a complex emotion in the most simple way possible, you know, and that's what he's kind of like all about. And he loves a good play on words,
and that's how you get anthemic songs, isn't it? And
yeah, absolutely. But he's great, man. He's great, and he's in Nashville at the moment. And he always sends me like the family Christmas card.
See,
which is great.
How long ago was it when you worked with him?
Gosh, this was maybe 5 years ago or so.
I didn't realise it had been such a long time. I thought that was a recent thing I saw.
No, yeah, it was a while. I mean, we still hang out every time I go to Nashville. Like we go to dinner and stuff, and and we still do stuff. So it's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. I had an experience with a songwriter who shall remain nameless. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what. I mean, he was kind of like a really nice guy. Let's face it, he was a nice guy. That's why I'm protecting him by not saying his name.
Okay.
I liked him, but I wanted it to work, but I could
like
not
four
keep a straight
in my head. I think it is.
Okay, if I describe the story, you probably have worked with him, I reckon. Right. So it'd be like this. Okay, he's American. Right. So you go like him. He'd never come up with a chord sequence that imaginative for a start. So. And it'd make nonsense sounds and wait for the words to form.
Oh, really?
And you know what would happen invariably? Every fucking time I worked with this guy, he'd end up rhyming baby with the word crazy. So eventually it would morph into but crazy, and it'd be like, oh, so your starting point is some nonsense and then crazy baby, I'm out. You know, that's it.
Yeah,
couldn't handle it. Now,
do
you recognise this person? Do you know who that was?
Well, I've heard Chris Martin does something similar, but I'm guessing it wasn't Chris Martin.
It wasn't Chris Martin,
no. Because I remember I was watching something, because I just love watching music documentaries, anything. I mean, YouTube's so great now with all like these studio geeks and stuff like that when they're uncovering like the most important songs of X, Y, and Z. And they were talking about, and it was an actual interview with Chris Martin talking about how he wrote Yellow, and he was like, I just had, you know, as you do, I just had that, I had that chord, that dun 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 dun.
What other chords?
And he was like, I can't remember. It was like it was like a funny inversion for. Was it like an F or something like that? Like a third inversion? I can't remember. But he had it like up here, and it was kind of like Radioheady-esque. And then he was saying, and he was like, and I just needed a word that went, and there in front of me was the Yellow Pages, and I said, yellow. Magic.
Wow.
And then history was made.
A true line, life on you. The best way to do it is, like, I mean, I know it's not very nice to laugh at people who speak in that way, but just close like a deaf person does, and then just find the melody.
Was it that bad?
Yeah, he was literally just moving his mouth, mumbling, and then waiting for the words to come. I mean, it was kind of, maybe it was a spiritual process, but he'd be like this. You, and then you see him like you. do, and it'd start off with the last line of it, last word of each line, and then it would be yellow, yellow. Yeah, you're right. That is a brilliant song, though, isn't it?
It is. It is. I remember hearing it for the first time when I was, God, I'd have been like 10 or 11. And it did kind of like blow my mind. And I was like, I wonder if I can sing like that. And I couldn't. I mean, here's a question.
Of course you can.
You know, when and how did you discover the strength that you have? Because I cannot belt a falsetto, you know, like the way that you can, which sounds.
You can hit a falsetto, though. I've heard you've got a vast range.
I do, but it's not like I wouldn't consider it like a powerful falsetto. Like
all you need to do is sign up to my private lessons, and I'll talk you through the basics. Luke, I've got to ask you this question: are you open to testing the Chibson Collaborative Luke Spiller-proof cup holder attachment for guitars? It uses gravity to prevent your stage drink from spilling, like a toddler silly cup, but attached to a guitar.
I am, yeah.
Okay, I thought you would be, yeah. That's a yes, James. He's in. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's just anatomy, actually. Some people are built in certain... All right, let me ask you this one. Who's your favourite singer? Not frontmen, but actual, in terms of the timbre and the way it makes you feel when you listen to it. Who's your favourite?
I know it doesn't sound very obvious, but Shirley Bassey.
Yeah, that is obvious to me. And what's your favourite Shirley Bassey song?
I mean, do you want to see the records I brought yesterday?
Yeah, of course I do. Also, what are those trousers? Are they long shorts or short longs?
They're longs that I've made into shorts.
You've rolled them up into like a giant red nappy.
I didn't think I was going to be stood up. So I got some basic ass ones. This
All
is
right.
kind of
what's on there?
Like her version of Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Bridge Over Troubled Water as a show tune.
Where Do I Begin? Love Story.
Where do I begin?
Begin.
They were
doing the lyrical finding test again.
That's it. Where do I start?
I love her version of something.
Yeah.
I love that. And the one that I've been trying to find, which is why I went to the record shop yesterday, was I Am What I Am. I don't know which apparently was the first ever like outright sort of like coming out song ever written in a musical. I heard on a Radio 2 documentary, which I had no idea about. To the point where they thought it was too risky, because you listen to the words and it's obviously all about, you know.
Aha, really?
So, yeah, I am what I am, and I need no excuses.
I am what I am.
And there's even a line where it says, "Step out of your closet," and dun 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 dun.
That's for real, isn't it? Shall I tell you my two favourite Shirley Bassey songs?
Yeah.
I Who Have Nothing.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Where's it go again? It'll be on one of those ones. What the? I who have nothing. I who have no one. Adore you and love you so. I'm just a no one with nothing to give you but
Oh yeah, I know this.
I love you. It's a great song. And the other one is Spinning Wheel, her version of Spinning Wheel.
Yeah.
Boom 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 dum 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 bum 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 bum.
Never, never.
Oh yeah.
I also got Aretha Franklin.
Urethra Franklin.
Urethra. Which has got the song with George Michael on it, and her version of Jumping Jack Flash.
Oh, I don't even know if I. Wow.
Which is really cool.
Nice. There's another one to listen to on the Shirley. Like one of her really early recordings. It's called Love is a many splendid thing. I'm always looking for it on the Ultimate Guitar Tab thing.
Ultimate Guitar Tab.
I want to learn it, but it's
What the problem is, I've noticed that like Spotify and all that, like 5-6 years ago, they had like everything that she did, and then now it's all been rearranged and fucking taken off. So annoying.
It is annoying.
So yeah. Shirley,
so if you like, Shirley Bassey's a really good caller. She's one of my favourites too. What about Tom Jones and the other big voices from the Valleys?
I'm not a massive fan of
Tom Jones.
I like Tom Jones. I got a couple of his live albums here. I mean, my drummer's Welsh, so I have to like Tom
You have
Jones.
to, yeah.
But Scott Walker, like I love Scott Walker. I love the Jacques Brel stuff that he did.
And
Hold on, my waitress is here. This is my sister, by the way.
Hey.
All right.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. I've kept him all night, actually. Sorry for... There's about... How many people? There's 74 people watching.
Don't have a problem.
just to let you know.
Well, hello, 74 people.
They're all saying hi back.
Thanks, man. She's going to kill me for that. Yeah, Scott Walker. Like, I love Scott Walker. Do you know what? I love voices that I admire because they can do things that I'll never be able to do. Like your voice, you know what I mean? Or Shirley's or Scott Walker. Like, to have that level of control with like vibrato that Scott Walker had, I'll never have that,
But he'll never have your... the great, you know what I mean? The great and determination.
Yeah, it's just one of those things in life, though, isn't it? You always want and dare say.
Yeah, the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
So I always just want to be like Bon Scott or Steven Tyler. It's just
Bon. See, there's another singer I love because it's his range, and just when you watch him, you're like, he doesn't seem to flinch. It looks effortless. Which just like, and you try singing those songs, and it's like, it takes some guts, and some balls.
And he's a great poet too.
Yeah.
There's this guy, I always forget his name, Dimesh something. It's incredible vocalist. I'm going to send you a link to it. I always tell people to watch this guy. This is it. This Dimesh, his name is Dimash Kudaibergen, and he does a song called SOS d'un Terrien. It's from a French Canadian musical, I think. En détresse. I thought. Right, check this out. I'm just gonna. No, that's sorry. That's not the right. That's a reaction to him doing it. Forget it. I'll send you a link to it when I find it. But that guy's got like a 6-octave for real range, not just, he's not just grunting. He's properly singing.
Yeah.
Like Bobby McFerrin the Bobby McFerrin range in like a really compact physique. It's unbelievable when you hear what he does. It's great. But some people just like that, you know. Singers have to get over the fact that they're not going to sound like the people that they listen to, you know. It's like, it's almost the first challenge, isn't it? It's like, yeah. Because I wanted to be Steven Tyler.
Really? Is that where you sort of like found your range? Because obviously Steven's got like a insane like range. You know, so were you singing along to those songs going like... I think I used to be able to sing along to most things, but never sound anything like them. But you don't become aware of how removed you are from what you think you sound like until you hear yourself through a PA or worse, recorded. It's really excruciating. For a good couple of years, it's excruciating. And I was a guitar player before, so it never really mattered until it mattered, and then it really mattered. You know? Yeah. You know, I didn't start singing until 2000, so I was kind of like, didn't really. Where did the passion for the guitar like playing come from? Because
I think it's. I think I was just looking for something to be good at. You know what I mean? I just tried it because my brother was playing drums, and I was like, oh well, I'll just play guitar then, and then just picked it up really quickly, and I was like, oh, I can do this. I never had the passion, but I didn't feel like I was really passionate about playing guitar. It's just easy. And then after a while, it's like I realised that I was playing like for about 4 hours a day, you know, without the. So it wasn't like something that I needed to be passionate about. It was just something that I did, and it was just so natural. It was just like, wow, okay, so I'm a guitarist. That's it. That's what I'll be.
Wow.
You know, we always had guitars around, and never really pissed around with them, and then I just picked one up and it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense.
That's incredible. I mean, I tried to have guitar lessons, and I went to. Did
you wear a tassely jacket when you went though?
Cowboy boots. And it started at school, and the thing is, my dad is a guitar player, but he he's not an electric guitar player. He's very good at finger picking.
Oh, cool.
He's like one of those.
What does he listen to?
Don Francisco was his favorite. Was his like idol.
Don Francisco. Cisco.
Yeah, he's
Is he a flamenco player or something?
No, he's a Christian like country singer. So it's like it's kind of folky country, you know, storytelling, and kind of like really beautiful kind of guitar work as well. Slightly Gordon Lightfoot-esque, Glenn Campbell-esque. Mm-hmm. Glenn Campbell's also another great guitar player, but yeah, and you know, I can't do that. And then my sister just fucking picked it up, and I could see it. She can just do exactly the same shit as he can. It just comes natural, like the thumb, like doing the arpeggiated stuff. Just
the claw.
Yeah, just totally natural. And I could, but not. You know, when I'm looking at like my younger sister.
You play piano, don't you? You play keys.
So that was the weird thing, and then we had this piano, and then that was it. I sort of looked at the piano and I was like, oh, okay, this kind of like, again, like makes sense. I think it's because the way that my brain worked is, I don't know, maybe I didn't have patience to tune anything, you know, so it was always kind of there, and I could see it. I could see where I wanted to go.
You know, I've always wanted to have like a really extravagant, maybe like a Perspex or some other, or like a huge antique grand piano just in the middle of a room, nothing, really sparse, and then just walk over to it and then just be shit at piano.
A Liberace style piano, and just
that would be nice.
But like, again, it's like none of it really comes natural. Like, I mean, I enjoy playing the piano, and I love the sound of it, and it's what I write on, it's the first thing I kind of like come to when I want to start doing music. But I'm still like fucking shit at it, you know. Like it's funny. It's funny. I only started really playing it probably like 4 years ago. You know, when I used to sort of like just tinker on it, and then everyone was like, you know, it'd be really cool if you played it. If you know, like when I've seen you play piano, you should do it like on tour. And I'm like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. Like, you know. And then I started challenging myself and doing it. But terrible technique, terrible. Like I really make life really hard for myself. Like with the inversions and like I do full. On left hand, like full octave on the bass notes, and I can't do anything in terms of like a walking bass line on my left hand or anything like that. I'm not that. I can't do it.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I can just go gung 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 boom, and make it look cool.
Yeah, it's a percussive instrument, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's a hammer hitting a string, so you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird.
You can get one of these to get a piano like a really small piano. So like might make life easier. Like this would be just 3 octaves. Or like I was thinking like maybe the Liberace piano, you open it up and then it's just this inside it. That's an option. But I still enjoy it. It's still good fun. Yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it? Something to express yourself on, isn't it? It's so important to have that.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
All right, well, should we...
do
you want to... Oh, you're making a rollie. Nice. How many fags do you smoke a day? Be honest.
It really depends. Depends if I got to sing or not.
You've got to sing 20.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
My brother likes it when I smoke when we're recording. I can't do it on the road. Just can't do it.
Really?
Everything stops. The tour stops.
See, I don't smoke Taylor cigarettes, Taylor Maids.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I just smoke rollies. So, you know, I think it's my secret.
Roll-ups are the choice of champions.
True. But, no, honestly, man, I've really enjoyed being on this. And, I mean, how long have we been talking for? 2.5 hours.
Yeah, too long.
Have your Patreons enjoyed it?
I'm going to ask them now. Guys, have you had a good time? Did you guys all enjoy yourselves? I think I've been looking at the comments as we go. I think everyone's really enjoyed it, Luke.
Oh, that's good.
But there was no tears. I was kind of hoping we'd cry together. Maybe we'll do that another time. You know?
We'll do it another time, yeah.
So, what do you want? I guess everybody needs to just buy your single or stream the single.
Whatever.
What do they need to do?
They can just talk about it for all.
Yeah, just tell people. Just tell each other about it. Just listen to it.
Yeah. You know what? Just listen to it. You know, and if you hear it on the radio, because I think it got played by Ken Bruce, good old Ken Bruce, good. Yesterday. So if you do hear it, just shoot him an email and say, "Oh, I enjoyed that." Because research is good. Positive reactions are good.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so you know what to do, guys. Yeah, thanks. Should we stop? We'll stop. We'll stop.
Yeah, we'll stop.
We'll stop.
2.5 hours.
I think we'll stop now. Thanks, Luke. See you guys. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.